Good morning and welcome to Personal and Family Security Program on the African Town Hall online television. The Personal and Family Security Program is brought to you by Secure Travel and Residence Services Limited. Today, we are pleased to have in the studios to help us with this great event, Mr. Alexander Onuchukwu, who is a security expert professional who will be speaking to us from out of Lagos. We are in a period described in the scriptures as the perilous times. Security problems worldwide have become very challenging. The security problems in Nigeria have deteriorated completely, and we can no longer guarantee our safety and security and those of our loved ones and assets with daily reports of multiple kidnapping, highway robbery, home invasions and invasions of villages by Fulani herdsmen, terror groups, and other sundry criminals. How can a man or a woman stay safe and help his or her loved ones and assets be safe and secure in these times? The security of the world or of Nigeria is not likely to get better. What can then someone do in this kind of situation? We are the African Town Hall online television, in conjunction with Secure Travel and Residence Services Limited, feel that the only way to be safe and secure at these times is to get smarter through constant security awareness education for individuals and training for security professionals that serve people and their homes and offices. This is why we have invited a renowned security expert professional, Alexander Onuchukwu, to come and share from his wealth of training and experience, ideas and strategies that families can adopt to be able to stay safe in these challenging times. Mr. Onuchukwu is a security expert professional with over 16 years of training and experience in public, private, and diplomatic security in Nigeria. He's a member of the American Society for Industrial Security, that is ASIS International. He has been trained both within and outside Nigeria and is considered one of Nigeria's brightest security minds today. Join us to learn one or two things you can do to keep yourself, your family, and assets safe and secure in these perilous times. The African Town Hall online television will strive to host security experts every Saturday at this time to keep the discussion going, so that this matter will touch every heart and every mind in order for us to gain increased awareness that will keep us safe in these times. It is now my pleasure to welcome Mr. Alexander Onuchukwu to our online studios. Alex, welcome to the studios.
Thank you so much, Mr. Francis. I'm glad to be here.
Okay. Well, Mr. Onuchukwu, will you please take a moment and share a little bit about yourself, anything in your background or training that's not covered in the introductions we've given?
Yeah, you pretty much touched the much that I would laid out to the public domain. However, security is very encompassing and so unique. So I have a whole lot of trainings, like you've mentioned, not just in one particular area. So a whole lot of them that will come into play as we continue in this conversation.
Okay. Thank you, Alex. Now, if you are joining us, we already are seeing a number of people on the counter. We are joining us, please. We invite you to participate in this discussion by leaving your comments and asking questions, which Mr. Alex will be able to answer for us today. Please know that we value your comments and your questions. This is helpful to make this conversation to move forward properly. One of the things we must be aware of is that we at African Town Hall Online Television and Secure Travel and Resident Services Limited are interested in getting people to take responsibility for their security. That's why we are bringing experts here every week to share their knowledge and experience on how you can be safe. Thank you. Now, recently, the headlines on security alone in Nigeria, there are thousands of them. As in the research that we are doing, if we list all of them, then more than 1 hour will be used in pronouncing them, in trying to just list them. But Alex, I'm going to just mention a few of those that are picked from Nigerian newspapers. I mean, these are reported ones, and in many cases, none are reported. But the reported ones, number one that we have, and this was on Punch newspaper of 30th September. It says, Oshunman remanded over 5-year-old girl's defilement. That is rape of a minor. And the next one we have is that groups condemn alleged rape, murder of a graduate by FCT SARS. That is also from Punch newspapers, which on that same 30th. And then the next one was that troops kill 2 bandits, arrest 3, recover arms in Kaduna. This was found in 30th September Daily Sun. And from Sahara Reporters, we learned that a local government chairman in Kaduna had been allegedly kidnapped. And from Sahara Reporters also, we learned that 1 person was killed, 7 kidnapped as bandits attack KB community. Now, this is just a tip of the iceberg. It raises concern in everybody. So, in the community where I live, every time we meet in our estate, we talk about the security issues. Number one in our agenda is the security challenges we face. So, Mr. Alexander Onuchukwu, in the light of all this situation that is happening in Nigeria, what counsels or guidelines or tips or strategies can you give to families on how to stay safe in this environment we are inside today?
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks again, Mr. Francis. One of the headlines that you read, a minor allegedly violated by a grown man, I suppose, is of huge concern to me because a whole lot of us have children, and we are talking so much today about personal and family security and safety. So I would focus so much more on the family today. The last time I listened to this program, I heard my senior colleague talk so much about personal security. So my focus today will be a whole lot on the family. So that little girl belongs to a family. My heart goes out to the family and to the young woman who that beast, so to speak, has brought so much discomfort to. So I mean, a whole lot of us parents are busy with going to fetch food for the family, for these children and for other relatives. But we cannot leave our children and endanger them. Even when we go out to look for what they will eat and go to school with, we still need to make them a priority in our schedules and in our itinerary. Whatever thing we do, our children must be in a high priority in our schedule. So there are a whole lot of things parents can do. Every one of us can do to keep our children safe from the hands of this. Not only in Nigeria, everywhere in the world, you hear news about rape here and there. So a child who is young do not have that strong will psychologically and emotionally to take care of herself or himself, especially to say no or to say yes, to make very good decisions. So, as parents, we need to guide them. We need to stand by them at all times until they grow up to the age of accountability, to the age where they can make decisions for themselves. So, by so saying, I encourage parents in your neighborhoods, do not let out your children out of your home without an adult. You could have neighbors who tend to be fond of your, they like your children and they want your children around them. That's not a problem, but that shouldn't happen when the child goes there out there alone. Do not lay your child into the hands of single men or single women, depending on what gender of the child it is. Do not let them into the hands of these people all by themselves. You will be endangering them. If your child must visit any home, that child should visit the home in care and watchful eyes of an adult. If your neighbor is your neighbor and you are the child's parent, either a mother or a father, there is no way you can change that rule. Your child is your child, your neighbor is your neighbor. And I think it's high time we stopped teaching our children to call neighbors uncle, class teachers uncle, because that's not what they are. They have names. Because when you allow your children to call them by uncles and aunts, which is supposed to be for their relatives, then you open them up to emotional and psychological threats. Because once they start calling anyone uncle or auntie, which is meant for their brothers, their mother's father, their mother's brother, or their father's brother, then they will start thinking this person is my relative. They'll start becoming comfortable in their presence or in their hands. And at this point, they can abuse them. So your child should call Mr. A, Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. B, and Mr. C, Mr. C. It is not disrespectful. Then the ones who are their uncles should be their uncles and their aunts. Uncle A, Uncle B, and Uncle C. I am not speaking today about on relationships, but I would like to have also know that it is also wrong to have your young child sit on adult male legs. It also exposes them to danger. Some adult male who cannot control their emotions and passions could get off board while this is happening. And the child also is human, and they cannot control that part of their life. So you need to really guide them to a very large extent to stay safe. So concentrating so much on family and focusing on our little ones, our young children, the family will be your wife, your children, you, and anyone in your household. This could be that man who is at the gate, who opens the gate for you every morning you go to work and every evening when you come back. This could be that young lady who spends all the night under the same roof with you, your children, and your wife. So they are family because they know pretty much everything about you. You trust them. The secrets that the criminal outside does not know about you, they know. And whether you like it or not, your life is in their hands. So you need to take measures that will put them in check for your safety and for the safety of your family. I spoke with a couple of friends some time ago and I told them that most of us who engage domestic staff do not even know where they come from, unfortunately. There was a story recently that I was monitoring about a young man who was a house help here in Lagos, where I live, and he was engaged, and he had lived with this gentleman for over a period of 2 years or thereabout. And the day he found what he was comfortable with, some money, some hard currency, he made away with it. And that was when the gentleman realized that he didn't even know where this guy come from. And what could happen to forestall such an incident? I will encourage us, when you engage domestic staff, ensure that there is a background screening, what the security agencies would call vetting and revetting. So, background screening is that you get to know where these people come from, their names, and who their relatives are, and possibly home address, actual home address, and not just something that is written down on paper. And how can you ensure, how can you make sure that this happens? Because you may not have all the time to go check. You can engage private security agents or agencies. There are a whole lot of them right now. Mr. Francis is running one, so such an
Yeah.
outfit can also be engaged. Okay, so engage them. They would run a security background check on these domestic staff. And if you these domestic staff, if you don't have an idea of who they are, can be your gate man, like I just said, can be a nanny, a house help, either a boy or a girl. It could be your drivers. And these guys are capable of causing you some havoc if you don't take your time. So background check is done before they start living with you or getting very close to your family. Before you engage them, take some time, run a check on them, and find out who they are. The security agent, the private security agent that you engage is possibly going to give them a form to fill out. And this form, these agents have been trained to, give out the details, the questions that will return the details that you need. And when this happens, let them know that you have details, you have information about them. It will serve as a deterrent. When a criminal wants to strike and he knows that that you have information about him, possibly his photograph, he's not just going to easily strike where he will be known. Criminals don't do that because they don't want to be blown. Okay, so let these guys know that you have an information about them. They fill out the forms by themselves, or they are guided to fill if they're not that much educated to write or speak. So they fill these forms either by themselves or they are guided to do the same. And when this happens, it should also take place again a few years later, a year later or more. And that is known as revetting or background rescreening. With this, you're able to update yourself and keep yourself on top of the game. You update yourself with his or her family records. Family may have moved from where they were living. Okay, one thing or the other may have changed. So if you revert, if you rescreen, you get to update yourself with some of these informations, and they know that you are keeping up to date with their progress, and it will, like I said, serve as a deterrent. Now, I encourage you, my dear friends, the way you treat your domestic staff also matters. Because they are domestic staff is no reason why they should be treated like they are not humans. Foremost, pay them well. If you must engage them, then pay them what is due to them. Because they see you, they see what you eat, they see what you spend, they see what you wear, and you give them peanuts. Of course, they would like to look like you. They would like to do better than they are doing, knowing that you have all it takes for them to look better. So they'll start planning to rip you off or to have, but sometimes some of them don't even want to rip you off, but they have friends, and these friends can be bad, and they tell them what to do that could harm you or members of your family. So pay them well. When you pay them well, most of them, 90% of them will be happy with you and your household, and they would not like to harm you. But there are some of them that are criminally minded. of course, they would still want to go ahead and do what criminally minded people would like to do. And that's where knowing them, getting to know them is very, very useful and very important. Sometimes it baffles me that I see house helps who stay at home, taking care of house chores and taking care of the home, and parents are off to church with their children. Your children are in church to learn morals. So what are these house helps doing at home? They can learn morals alongside your children. Treat them like you treat your own, and they will take themselves like they are your own, and they would not plan to harm you. Not wanting to sound like I'm a religious, this is a religious program. Yeah, so it's very needful that we keep track of these people. Now, you cannot wrap up your family, your children, your wife, every member of your family in a cotton wool, all in the name of keeping them safe. You can't do that. I mean, you can babysit them. You cannot always be there with them. So what can we do? What we need to do is to teach them the skills that will keep them safe and keep your home safe, because you may not always be there. And if they don't know what to do, then they will always be confused in your absence. So teach them what to do. In the security world, they will always rehearse how to react to certain incidents. It's known as the drills. In your home, you can go over them, take roles to play over these roles, and the children from young age would know exactly what they need to do in case anything or any ugly incident takes place. This could help them to know how to, fit into bombs and banks and even burglaries. I mean, if they are role plays, a child knows what to do if there is fire incident. Teach them. They would learn how to do these things over time, and they will be able to take care of themselves in your absence. A lot of practical things are there to teach your children, our young ones. You have weekends to yourself that you're not working, you don't, possibly you're not going to work. Take out this weekend and take some practice with them. Now, I would like to pay attention to a few things you need to prepare for. As a family, you need reliable information. You need reliable information. You need to find out what risk and threats and vulnerabilities your family is exposed to, especially those of you who are high profile citizens or expatriates. Be aware of your environment, like check out what your environment looks like, and be familiar with what you are exposed to. When this is done, for families, have security awareness training for both adults in your home and children. This will also include your domestic staff. Some of them don't know what to do if there is any problem, or how to get away from those that would like to infiltrate them, criminals that would like to infiltrate them. They don't know how to get away from these criminals. So teach them how to get away from these criminals. So you need some security awareness training in your home. You can do it yourself. You can engage a friend who is a security agent or a former security person to do it for you. Okay, but it's all over the internet. You can just pull it up and use any of the resources you can find to train your family so that they'll be able to take care of themselves. Avail yourself the opportunity to utilize technology. Technology, the world is progressing, and we don't need to stay behind. Your home, your company, your vehicle, everything that you have needs security technical equipment to keep you safe and to keep your family safe. There are, for example, a whole lot of monitoring equipment that you need to install in your home, especially if you have the money. And some of these things are not very expensive. It's only when you've not checked. If you check, they are not very expensive. They are affordable. Okay. The cyber and your physical property are also need some monitoring and some equipment. You don't let your young ones into the cyber world without monitoring them. So take advantage of these things and you will be covered a whole lot. Now, monitor social media access and use in your home. Those who use social media in your home, those who have access to social media in your home, must be monitored because oftentimes some of them endanger themselves and expose your family to a lot of danger without knowing it. They are not doing it intentionally most of the time, but they let out a whole lot of information that they should not let out because they are having fun with the social media world. All right, so I will.
Alex, before you continue, there's some things you struck on that I would like to put out one or two personal experiences out that can help people know that what you have said is critical.
Okay.
I have, when it relates to calling everybody you see around uncle, I have a graphic rape case that once happened in Lagos. I lived in Lagos at that time, and the thing was trending over the radio waves and the television. And as I was listening to the radio commentaries on it one morning while going to work in my vehicle, and then it struck me, especially about calling everybody you see uncle. That led me to begin to write a novel, a book. That book is almost done. It is called One Rape Too Much. And one of the things emphasized there is the fact that this girl fell prey to this man because everybody in the compound called him uncle. And because the he was called uncle, everybody's guard around him was loose. And before the graphic case that led to him being killed by the father of this girl, because the girl, he raped the girl and the girl died, then the man went and killed him, which caused so many catastrophe for the whole community. Before that happened, it was discovered at an inquiry that he has abused several children in that compound because he's a teacher. They call him uncle. He helped them solve their maths, and every time they troop in and out of his house. I think you made a point there, which everyone need to be careful about. I was connected with a lady who is a security coordinator at the LNG in River State the last time, and she said one of the things I was giving a lecture in a seminar they were attending. I was one of the resource persons, and then we got into a conversation because I said something which she said she needed to kind of get more information. So we talked, and then she said, "You know what? I train my children not to that anybody. There's no uncles. These people are not my brothers, so they are not your uncle. They are not. You can't call them uncle." So she made clear, she's a security professional. Maybe that's why she's conscious. But we want everyone to be conscious that they shouldn't be calling anyone they see uncle. And I also this is in a fun way. I was doing what you taught here about teaching our children strategies to stay safe. And one of my kids will say, "You are a bad man. You are teaching your children to fight." What was happening was that I was teaching them defensive techniques, how they can defend themselves, assuming they are attacked by anyone. And then she said, "Well, you look like you're a bad person because you're teaching your children how to fight." I want to say it's not teaching your children how to fight, it is teaching them how to be safe, defend themselves. And you made that point here today. So it kind of struck a chord with me. That's why I wanted to stop you briefly. So um, now we are learning a lot from what you're sharing. But before you continue, we have seen several people watching this online. We would like you to please leave a comment. Alex would like to answer your questions. I know he will, because I have put questions on him before and I know how he responds to them. So leave your comments, leave your questions. We appreciate them. Alex.
Okay, thank you so
Alex, take it
much
up again.
for sharing that.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much for sharing that experience. So, parents needs to be very cautious in their neighborhoods. Our children are very precious to us. We need to care for them. I mean, any child whose life is destroyed today, we would have ourselves to blame in the future. It's disheartening. So we need to do all we can, everything we know how, to protect these children in their young age, and they will appreciate us for it. So teach them the right principles and let them to govern themselves. So going forward, we need to teach these children a whole lot they must know. An example is you have children, and children, it's natural. Once there is a tap on the door, they will rush to the door, they will go to take the door. Teach your child not to go to the door soon as there is a tap on the door. That child does not know who is knocking, especially when you do not have a glass door. That child cannot make a judgment on if this person is welcome in the home or not. In fact, most parents would prefer to teach their children to say daddy or mommy is not at home when they are there. So teach so teach them how to stay safe rather than how to tell lies.
Yes.
They shouldn't go to the door. Rather, if there is a tap on the door or a bell rings and you did not hear it and they heard it, they should look for an adult in the home or look for their parents to come take the door. And if your glass is a glass door, teach your children to just smile and wave at the visitor and come get their parents. Teach your children your home address. I watch on the national television a lot of times, and I see children who are above the age of 8 up to 15 getting missing without knowing where they are coming from. They don't even know their home address. It's I mean, sometimes I'm surprised at that. It should start from the home. You don't expect the teacher in school to teach your child your own home address. Teach your child from childhood where you live, your telephone number, some favorite telephone numbers like your brother or your sister, that is uncles and aunts. They should know these telephone numbers, and possibly, if you can, if you have the capacity, the ability to get a little box desk phone in your home and teach them how to punch on these buttons in case you are not at home and something goes wrong. They can call you, or they can call mom, or they can call anyone else. Before now in Nigeria, we didn't have, I don't think we had workable security or emergency numbers. But I get messages, I see documentaries now. You can dial 122, or is it 111 or
Yeah,
112?
112. Yes.
112, okay? So these are the numbers that you can teach your young ones. If you teach them, give them the enablement, that's the capacity to dial these numbers. And once in a while, if mommy is not at home or daddy is not at home, call that child close to yourself and tell him or her to call mommy. And she will call mommy and they'll be excited. That is practice. That is how they learn how to use the phone, how to dial numbers. It is no luxury, it is a necessity. It's going to help them to stay safe in times of trouble. In addition, I would like so very much that parents in our age understand the fact that practice makes perfect. As much as your children learn these things with you, it gives them confidence. It removes fear from them. And in your absence, they will be able to take care of themselves using either the gadgets or the wordings they heard you say in certain situations or in certain places. I recommend that you have family time together, teaching your children how to take care of themselves using some of these gadgets. You cannot be more busy than the peace that you cannot find outside your home. You can't find it anywhere else. So if your home is violated, if your home is facing so much threat, where are you going to run back to? So you need to prepare both your home and your children against any form of threat. So in addition, around your home, keep trees and bushes around trimmed. Do not create a safe haven, a hiding place for criminals. If you have forest bushes surrounding your homes, then criminals can come and lay ambush. Criminals can come in, uh, harbor themselves in there and get details about you. Criminals can as well conduct surveillance. They can stay in there, hide, do whatever they need to do for as long as they want, and they leave without your seeing them. So don't leave bushes and forests around you. They would give criminals a safe haven to keep a track of you. Now, something I noticed in Lagos where I live, a whole lot of people live in a neighborhood and they don't have relationship with other people in that neighborhood. Yeah, sometimes it's good to mind your business, but at other times you need to know your neighbors. You need to get to know your neighbors. Your children need to get to know who their neighbors are because they should be able to differentiate between a neighbor and a total stranger. They should be able to differentiate between a neighbor and a total stranger. In times of emergency, a child could run into the hands of a total stranger who would harm him or her. But if a child knows that this person, I have never seen him before, or this person is my neighbor, he is Mr. A or he's Mr. B, the child is comfortable in his or in her hands because the child has seen you exchanging pleasantries with this neighbor. In your home, ensure that windows and doors are locked before you go to bed or before you leave your home, going to work, or anywhere else you are going to. Ensure that your doors and windows are locked. If you leave them open, you are also leaving yourself vulnerable. Anyone can gain access into your home and get away with your valuables. Even when you are at home, keep all external doors locked. In my home, my doors are locked all the time. If you are going on an errand, take the keys. We have spare keys. Those in the house must have one key anyway, of one or two of the two doors or of the two doors. Everybody knows where a key is. If we have emergency, we have an emergency exit. So what I'm saying here is that if you're inside, everybody is inside, even the external doors must be locked. Sometimes you are not expecting visitors and they beat other security measures that you have in place and they come close to your door or next to your door. The only way you can forestall them getting into your home is by leaving your external doors locked. It's no big deal. Always leave them locked and you'll be safer that way. Avoid keeping your spare keys in the open. Sometimes you want to hide them under the carpet or under the rug that is outside your gate or outside your door because you're going out. So you are keeping it for a relative who is coming back home. I would suggest you rather leave your keys with a neighbor. That neighbor you are avoiding to say hello to or good morning to in the morning. Leave your keys with them. But I would recommend the best thing to do is to go with your key wherever you're going to. Avoid leaving your keys under your carpet or somewhere you think is hidden, around your premises. Someone could be somewhere watching you leaving that key and would make very good use of the key in your absence. So the best thing to do is go with your key wherever you go. Ensure that pathways to your home, your surroundings are well littered up. Your perimeter fence. Criminals, they like darkness a lot. But when they, and before a criminal strikes in your home, he would have monitored the environment. Criminals are intelligent. Some of them, even today, are a lot well studied. They are well learned. So they know some of these procedures even better than you do. So keep your environment lightning completely illuminated all the time. The pathway into your home, your perimeter fences, all of them should always have light on them. And when a criminal sees that you have these measures in place, they don't want to come close to you because they know they will be detected. Okay? So
Okay. Alex,
some
let
of
me.
us
There's something
break
that I
out.
think you should address at this point that came up from what you
Okay.
said. Yes. Now you hinted it before, and I made a note to ask that question at some point, and it came up again. These criminals do surveillance on people before they they strike. They try to find out. They observe people. Now, can you suggest some countermeasures that people can use around their premises and environment to be able to see when these people are doing what they are doing, and then possibly plan ahead of time to stop them?
Yeah, absolutely. Just in the course of this discussion, I was going to talk about it, but now you
Okay.
preempted, and so I'll go ahead and kick it. So,
Yeah.
like I said initially, we need to embrace technology, and most of these are not very expensive; they are affordable. So when we have monitoring cameras around our homes, cameras around our homes. Okay, let me start with some very little things that could help. We may think is a little thing. Dogs are very loyal. Dogs are very loyal pets and animals. So if you can keep a dog in your home. If they see a stranger, they would always raise an alarm. That, for one, would alert you that, hey, a stranger is around my home. And the stranger also knows I've been dictated. Something has seen me. Someone has seen me. Okay. Outside that, you have security cameras. Put them to record what happens that you cannot see around your home. These days, we have security cameras that can send you emails.
Mm.
Okay, they record and they send you emails even when you are not there. They don't just record and store until you get back home. They record, they send you emails, and you monitor what's going on in your home when you are on a trip, for example. I am hoping that has touched exactly what you're looking at for Mr. Francis.
Yes, yes. Go ahead. Continue. Thank you.
Okay, so in addition to this, like I said right now, if you have the capacity to embrace, install security equipment like motion sensor lighting systems and 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 timers. Like there are timers that react to the movement of a human being, or sensors that react to the movement of a human being. If there is a movement, then they will come on. These are recommended equipments that can help you, ward off criminals from your home. Now, if you install cameras, something I need to know, there are some cameras, a lot of places you go to, and you look at these cameras and they are not working. You don't put cameras just for decoration's sake. You put them to use them. Make use of them. If you have cameras installed in your home, ensure that they are working. In banks, in homes, in business premises, a lot of incidents had helped investigations because A lot of cameras rather had helped investigations because they were there and they were recording. So they were useful. Avoid leaving informations about yourself on the social media. A lot of informations about you will endanger both you and your family. I don't know what your child's name is doing on the internet. Anyone will get to find out what your child's name is. It happens in some other countries and can trace your child to school or wherever he is and call him or her by that name. So help protect your child from these threats that can affect them in your absence. Leave little or no information about your family on the social media if you can. That would be my recommendation. I would also encourage us to turn off our location services when we are on trips or even possibly at home. With that, people could know exactly where you are and be able to track you. When you are not using them, turn them off. When you need them, you put them on after use, turn them off. You do not reveal your travel plans on the social media. I get on Facebook sometimes and I see people who leave their current locations. They tell you as they move and as they go. You know exactly where they are at any time or any point. I mean, if for your businesses it could be safe, depending on what kind of business you are doing. But if you're a gentleman, a family that want to be safe, I don't think that that's safe enough. Okay, to leave every information about you on the social media. Um, Something I didn't touch when I was talking about dictating criminals who come into your environment. Alarm system is something you can also install that does not necessarily need maintenance or a lot of money for installation. Leave them there, and when criminals touch what they are not supposed to touch, be where they are not supposed to be, it goes off, and you would find a lot of them on the run because they don't want to be caught. I had an experience some time ago where criminals were in a neighborhood, and unfortunately there were no alarm systems. But one gentleman was brilliant enough to use his car remote to kick off his car alarm system. And so it was on and was a distraction for the criminals that were operating at the time. So alarm systems are actually enough. Maybe not may not do everything you need, but they are good enough rather to checkmate criminals in your environment. You coming home after work and this is your routine every day. You keep same routine. That can be monitored. My senior colleague in the last edition talked about it. Maintaining one routine is something that needs to be avoided. But I'll go further to discuss that the one that what concerns the family in this case. Wherever you go, if you keep that same routine, you are coming back home. So you are often followed back home. It's important that you alert home. You let them know you are coming. They should always know that you are coming home. You don't need to wait at the gate for too long. That will leave you open to any attack or arsenal. Anybody who wants to attack you can actually do that if you stay out in the gate for too long without the gate open for you. By a phone call, by a text message, I am close by, and someone is available to get the gate open for you, and you drive in without a lot of waiting. I had said we should be very aware of our environment. There are times we come back, every day you coming back, you notice that a particular bike follows you home. He could change his dresses as a decoy at one time or the other, or in one day or another. If you notice the same guy, it should be something to react to. We should learn how to react to abnormalities, things that are not normal. React to them, report them to security agencies. Teach your children to do the same. Teach your child that his or her instinct is as strong as that one of an adult. His or her instinct is as strong as yours and her mom's or his mom's. Teach your child to learn to walk away when he feels unsafe. So, for adults, if you notice unusual things, react to them. If you can't ask questions directly, talk to a security agent who would find out exactly what's going on. Don't stay quiet until it happens. You are coming back home, for example, and you always notice one guy who is not your neighbor, who stands some meters away from your home and watch you go in, possibly watching how you come in and how you go out, and how much time it takes for your gates to be opened. These are things you need to watch out for whenever you are on your way home or back home, anywhere you find yourself. Be aware of your environment and respond to that which is abnormal. Always walk away. Always get into your safe area at every given time. The worst thing you can do is to stay and get harmed. Stay in one place and not respond. Always walk away when it is necessary to do so. When your life and your safety is threatened, walk away. Do not hesitate. Now, I would go back to limiting the information that you share about yourself. A whole lot of these informations are private. There are a lot of informations that you don't need to share on social media about yourself. They are not needful. They are not useful for those who are not part of your family, your business partners, and so on. I believe that in subsequent editions, detailed because there are just so many of these informations that can be enumerated. Now, the other thing that I would like to also talk about, Mr. Francis, is that I guess possibly because of the economy generally, a lot of our people, a lot of Nigerians are not contented. Greed can throw us open to a lot of threats. I hear about people who get duped and people who get swindled of their valuables. And most of this is because those who come to you to tell you one story or another know that many people are in need. A lot of people want something money. And if you respond to them, then you fall victim. But if and most of them who come to you with a whole lot of business proposals, if you check really very deeply, you see that there is some irregularities in what they tell you about. But out of greed, out of want, we ignore. We don't want to exactly note those irregularities. If you're able to note those irregularities, the best thing to do is not get engaged at all. Don't even get engaged in these conversations. They come and tell you about money in a box that needs to be washed with certain chemicals, and they need some money to buy chemicals, these chemicals that will wash off this money, and you have a lot of millions. You fall for it because you need money. And why would you get engaged in a business that will wash money that you didn't work for? And you open yourself to threats to your economy, threats to your life. Some go to the extent of taking vows, making vows with these criminals. If you control your greed and stay contented to what is available to you, those kind of threats would in no way find their ugly heads to your doorstep. Thank you so much, Mr. Francis. Uh, I'm glad to be here. There are a whole lot you can continue to talk on security and keep discussing, and you can never completely finish talking about them.
Okay,
Uh,
Alex, what I want us to do is to keep the door of this conversation open, because every day new things come out. Every day the threats continue to increase, and if the information is not ongoing, then we are not likely to provide the help that we intend to provide to both our customers in Secure Travel and Resident Services Limited and the general public, who we actually desire that they should be safe. So for today, we are grateful for all that you have done. Before you leave, I'd like you to respond to this, because this is one challenge that has come. When there's a rape of a minor or anybody at all, the response of the family, the people, the government around seems to sometimes worsen the case. And in my mind, w- anything else, the aftershocks of rape is still part of the security problem. So, do you have any thoughts at all on how parents or families should manage a threat of an incident of rape?
okay, thank you very much, Mr. Francis. Foremost, the health of the minor is paramount. The emotional stability of the child is also very crucial and sensitive at this point, because if it is mismanaged, that could linger
Yeah.
in that child's life into adulthood. So, um, foremost, that child's health should be taken care of. The first thing to do is to take that child to the hospital and allow medical personnel to evaluate her and take care of the needful. I would recommend that that child is not open to the public, the media, and a lot of and the neighbors also.
Yeah, that's important.
The opening of this child to these to the outside world will damage a lot in that child psychologically. So I'm not a medical personnel, but I can recommend the first thing to do is to take this child to the hospital. Other thing to do is to keep this child's privacy uh, utmost secret. Then I'm not forgetting that we must report this to the security agencies, to the police,
Yes.
whose responsibility it is to prosecute such crime. People continue to do this because they get away with it. If they are reported and the law takes its course, it will be a deterrent for a whole lot of others who would like to lose control. So I will tell everyone to report any such incident to the police, who will prosecute these beasts and throw them behind bars.
I think that is very, very important, and possibly the police too need to note the need for the protection of the privacy of this victim, and they need to find ways to manage these cases in such a way that it doesn't become something so public that this child becomes a victim of another situation, a psychological problem that might live with them throughout life. Uh, Thank you very much, Alex, for being
Exactly,
here.
but sorry to cut in, Mr.
Yes.
Francis. Okay, yeah. So oftentimes, as parents, we need when there are investigations when a minor is in this kind of ugly situation. Parents need to tell the police, the investigators, what they want about the child. They can demand for privacy. When we get to know what our rights are, they are given to us. So demand for the privacy of the child, and it should be given. The child is a minor and should not be exposed.
Thank you. That is profound information, and I hope our viewers are listening to these things and preparing themselves. Sometimes one wonders all the information that has to come from security, how they talk about some dangers and problems, and people wonder, should we be talking about them? I have a very good background and reason to know that we should talk about them, because many people have been saved from learning from what happened to other people. So it's a pleasure for us for you to be with us here. Please be prepared to come back again, because the area you started, there's a lot of angle there that need to be taken care of. And we will just be glad to have you back here to expand this on an ongoing basis so that people can learn more. So thank you, Alex. It's a pleasure for us to have you here today. And you
Thank
have,
you very much, Mr. Francis.
yes, you have a great weekend.
Thank you so much, sir.